Welcome to the second lecture in control configuration. In the last lecture, what we have seen? We have seen how to design. What are the two different options for multivariable control configuration? One is centralized control, and another one is decentralized control. The main issue with the decentralized control is to have the right pair of input and output. So in this lecture, we will be discussing about the interaction between input and output variables and what all things we have to look when we do the input and output pairing. So in a process, in a multivariable process, which will be having n number of inputs and m number of outputs, we have to control. Many of the outputs will be the control variables, okay, which will be having some relevant market value. So we need to maintain these values at some particular desired value. Okay, so how we will be doing? We will be doing it by manipulating the input. Okay, so these y are functions of inputs. So we can manipulate the input, some of the inputs, to change the output. That's very simple logic. Now, when we are going for decentralized control, we will be having multiple controllers taking care of each output. Now the question is, which input will be used for manipulating which output? It cannot be one to one. There are many reasons for that. Let us see that one by one. So for easily understanding the multivariable process, let us decompose. Let us come to a very simplest problem, that is a 2 by 2 process. So by 2 by 2 process, we mean our n is equal to 2 and m is also is equal to 2. That means it will be having 2 inputs and 2 outputs. Fine. Now here we can see that y1 is a function of both u1 and u2. Similarly, y2 is also a function of u1 and u2. So here when we decompose this 2 by 2 process, we can say that the G11 is a relation between output 1 and input 1. Similarly, G12 is a mathematical relation between output 1 and input 2. Similarly, G22 is a relation between output 2 and input 2. So these are the mathematical relations. Simply we can say that these are the transfer function relating the corresponding output and input. Now in decentralized control, since it's a 2 by 2 process, we will have two controllers. Okay, one for y1 and another for y2. Now which way we need to control, whether y1 need to be controlled by u1 or it should be controlled by u2. Okay, y1 need to be controlled by manipulating u1 or by manipulating u2. That's a very important question. Now the mathematical relation, as I have told, these are the transfer function relation between the output and input. So the mathematical relation we can write like this: y1 is equal to g11 into u1 plus g12 into u2. Okay, that is the mathematical relation between u1, u2 and y1. Similarly, we can write for y2. Okay, so y2 is connected by the u1 through g21 and u2 by through g22. So this relation for y1 and y2, this will repeat, this will extend if we are having m number of outputs. Okay, for an m by n system, the number of equations will increase. So in order to simplify the way we approach this problem, we can convert these equations to vector matrix form. So when we convert this equation to vector matrix form, we can write like this. Okay, so here the output matrix, this is the relation matrix, and this is the input vector. So here y1 is equal to g11 u1 plus g12 u2. Okay, similarly the case for y2. Okay, these are transfer function. As I had told, these are transfer functions. Now u1 is having effect on y1, u1 is also having effect on y2. Similarly, u2 is having effect on y1, u2 is having effect on y2. The main issue that will come here when we go for decentralized control is the interaction. Okay, how each input will be affecting the output. Okay, that we analyze by using interaction analysis. How much will be the effect? Whether u1 will be having a higher effect on y1 or y2. Similarly, for u2, what is the effect on y1 and what is the effect on y2? So it's a very common logic, common simple logic that if u2 is having effect only on y2 and if u1 is having effect only on y1, our issue is solved. We can simply use u1 for controlling y1 and u2 for controlling y2. But in that case, this g12 will be equal to 0, g21 will be equal to 0. This is not the case. In majority of the cases, there will be some relation for g12 and g21. There will be some value for that. And it will be having effect on y1 and y2. And it's very clear if the effect of y1, if the effect of u2 is more on y1 than y2, and if the effect of u1 is more on y2 than on y1, we have to change our decision. We may have to go for off diagonal pairing. Okay, so in diagonal pairing it will be y1 with u1 and y2 with u2. In off diagonal pairing it will be y1 with u2 and y2 with u1. So these are the different options. So in the last class we have discussed, if we are having a 5 by 5 system, we will be totally having 125 different options of pairing. So as the number of the input and output is increasing, the complexity of selecting the pair will also increase. So we need some standard procedure to select the input and output pairing. Before that, let us see what is interaction, okay, and how it is going to affect the output. Now, the closed loop diagram for a 2 by 2 system with a diagonal pairing will look like this. Okay, in the diagonal pairing, we know that y1 is controlled by u1 and y2 is controlled by u2. Okay, so the desired value, the y1 desired value will go to the controller. Okay, controller will compare the desired value with the actual value of y1, and FC stands for the final control element. Okay, like valves, heater and all. So that will manipulate the u1 and the y1 will be changed. Similarly, the case for y2. Okay, we will be manipulating u2. Here if you look intensively, you can see one interesting thing. When you are using u1 for changing y1, fine, good. There is a relation between u1 and y1. Definitely when you change u1, y1 will also change. But u1 will also affect y2 through g21. That is an undesired effect. Okay, effect of u1 on y2 through g21 is undesired. Okay, we want to change y2 by manipulating u2 only. Similarly, the effect of u2 through g12 on y1 is an undesired effect. Okay, when we are going for diagonal pairing. If this undesired effect is more, then our selected diagonal pairing will fail. So in the case of diagonal pairing, okay, let us think about a situation. Okay, at time t is equal to t0 minus, everything is in perfect condition. That means y1 is equal to y1 desired, y2 is equal to y2 desired. Okay, that means the output are at steady state as well as they are at the desired value. Now at time t is equal to t naught, we are changing y1 desired, okay, y1 desired by a delta value. Okay, so that means there will be a step change in y1 desired, okay, at time t is equal to t0. So there is a step change in y1 desired. We know that the output y1 is equal to y1 desired. Now y1 desired become the previous value plus some particular step change. Okay, so there definitely there will be an error between the present value of y1 desired and y1. Now how our controller will act to suppress this error? Let us see. Now what the controller will look? Controller will look for the difference between y1 desired and y1. So at time t is equal to 0, there will be a difference. Okay, y1 desired will be higher than y1. So the controller will give a output to the final control element. Okay, so you can see that the u1, the value of u1 will be a function of gc1, final control element, as well as the difference between y1 desired and y1. Okay, so basically u1 will be a function of y1 desired minus y1. So since y1 desired is not equal to y1, the u1 will change at time t is equal to 0. The u1 will change. Fine. Now when u1 will change, we will see what is going to happen. Through g11, okay, it will affect y1. Okay, through g11 it will affect y1. That we will call it as the direct effect on y1 because of the step change in y1 desired. Okay, since there is a step change in y1 desired, u1 will change, and as the u1 will change, since y1 is equal to g11 u1, there is a relation between y1 and u1, the y1 will also change. Good, that is what we want. But what about the other effects? Now the u1 will affect y2 also. Why? Because y2 is equal to g21 into u1. So when u1 will change, it will affect y2 through g21. Now this is an undesired effect. This is the first undesired effect. Okay, so we are expecting that the y2 will be changed by changing u2. If y2 is changed by changing u2, that is a direct effect. Now y2 is changed because of the effect of u1. That is an undesired effect. Okay, so this we will call an indirect effect, okay, because it's not direct, on y2 because of u1. Okay, so as u1 change, it will pass through g21 and it will indirectly affect y2. Okay, now whether there will be any more effect on y2, let us see. As I had told, y2 will change because of the change in u1. Now what will happen? At this moment when y2 will change, this y2 value will be different from y2 desired at that moment. Now what will happen? when y2 is not equal to y2 desired, in the controller, okay, the controller is acting depending upon the difference between y2 desired and y2, the controller output will change. So through the final control element, the u2 will change. So when u2 will change, it will directly affect y2 again. It is good. It will try to take the y2 through y2 desired. That is fine. But what about y1? Here, when u2 change through g12, y1 will also change. Okay, now it's very interesting. How it is going to happen? Let us rewind. Initially, y1 was equal to y1 desired, y2 was equal to y2 desired. We did a small change in y1 desired. So u1 change, it had a direct effect on y1 because y2 is also related with u1 through g21. Okay, this color, violet color, we can see the relation of u1 on y2. So when y2 will be different from y2 desired, what is going to happen? Yeah, the controller will change u2. So u2 will be having a direct effect again on y2, good, but u2 will also have an effect on y1 through g12. So you can see when we made a change in y1 desired, y1 got a change or y1 got affected both by the effect of u1 as well as u2, okay, which we call it as retaliating effect. So now you see how complex is the interaction. We will be in a very better stage if the effect of G12 and G21 was minimal. If the effect of G12 and G21 was minimal, then this indirect effect as well as the retaliating effect will be minimal. So our controller will perform very nicely. But here U1 will make a change to correct Y1. But once the correction is done, at the same moment, it will be again shifted to a wrong value because of U2. Very complicated situation. Now the pairing here, this is called interaction analysis. And how much is the effect of each interaction? Okay, that we have not done here. Okay, that is exactly interaction analysis. When based on interaction analysis only, we should decide what kind of pairing we should do. Now, because of the interaction, what are the problems that we will face? So we have seen that how complex it is affecting the closed loop system. So ultimately it will destabilize the closed loop system. Okay. And another thing, okay, which you are very new to, you have not discussed that. The controller, here we are having two controllers. It will be using some kind of control strategy like PID, PI. So their tuning is important. So the controller tuning will be very difficult when the interaction is very high. So ultimately, what is the takeaway? You have to pair the input and output in such a way that the indirect and retaliating effect is minimum and the direct effect is maximum. That is what we will do in interaction analysis. So there are many questions that need to be answered. Okay. So what is the effect of U1 on Y1? What is the effect of U1 on Y2? What is the effect of U2 on Y1? What is the effect of U2 on Y2? Provided the other input is kept constant. From these four questions, If you can get the result for this for questions, it will help us to decide, make a decision on the pairing. Fine. So let us think about a very small problem, very simple problem, so that you will understand the importance of interaction analysis. So it's a 2 by 2 process. I have told that this G11, G12 and all, they are the mathematical relation between Y1, U1 and U2. Now, the relation G11, G12, G21 and G22 is given here. So what does it mean? Yeah, the relation between Y1 and U1 is 100 by 5s plus 1. It's a first order system. And what about Y1 and U2? It's 1 upon 50s plus 1 into e to the power minus 10s. That means it's a first order system with a delay of 10 seconds. So here what do you mean by that? It's a first order system with a steady state gain of 100. Okay, so if we put s is equal to 0 for steady state gain, we will get the steady state gain is equal to 100 and time constant is equal to 5. Here the steady state gain is equal to 1, time constant is equal to 50, but the problem is that we are having a time delay of 10 seconds. And what about the relation between Y2 and U1? The steady state gain is 2, time constant is 100 and time delay is 5. What about the relation between Y2 and U2? The gain is 20, steady state gain is 20, substituting s is equal to 0. What about time constant? Time constant is 2. Okay. So for a faster response, the time constant need to be small. Okay. And any time delay, that is very much undecided. So how we will do the pairing? It's a question for you. You can pause for a moment and think how we should be the pairing. So it's a simple problem. So if we just look here, what about pairing Y1 with U1 and Y2 with U2? We can see that the effect of U1 on Y1, okay, it is much more than the effect of U1 on Y2. U1, what is steady state gain between Y1 and U1? It is 100. What is the steady state gain between Y2 and U1? It is just 1. So it is having 100 times more steady state gain. What about the speed of response? So between Y1 and U1, the time constant is 5. But here it is 50 between Y2 and U1. So it's the relation between Y2 and U1, it is almost 10 times lower than the relation between Y1 and U1. So we can say that if you are going for the pairing of Y1 and U1 rather than Y2 with U1, it will be 100 times more gain as well as 10 times more faster. Similarly, you can find the relation, find it for Y1 and U2 and Y2 and U2. Here you can see that Y2 with U1 and Y2 with U2, sorry. So if we look at the relation between Y2 and U1, which is replicated by this transfer function, it is 2 upon 100s plus 1 e to the power minus 5s. There is a delay of 5, time constant is 100 and gain is only 2. What about Y2 and U2? Gain is 20, 10 times than the previous one. The time constant is only 2, that means almost 50 times faster, and there is no delay also. So if you are going for diagonal pairing, that is U1 with Y1 and U2 with Y2, it's perfect. Okay, we should appreciate such kind of pairing here. What about if you are having a complex, much more complex transfer function? What about if you are having higher number of input and output, okay, instead of 2 by 2? That we will discuss in the next class. We will see how interaction analysis can be computed also. Okay, there we will discuss about